Hello, and welcome to another episode of Two Chicks, One Show, where we break down and review one episode of a currently airing show, an episode a week as it airs. My name is Trisha Ennis. She is Kate Calabro. We are your two chicks, and this week's One Show is the almost end of the season of Agent Carter, the second group of this weird two-parter, two-week two-parter thing going on. Agent Carter, Season 2, episodes 8 and 9.
Yes. I mean, it's a two-parter, but even I watched it live, and even though they already told you that it was a 2-hour event, they still did previously on Agent Carter at the beginning of the second one. I'm like, I literally just watched this. Like, I remember. But
Just
anyway,
in case you missed it.
yeah. So, I mean, we left off, the last week was two action-packed episodes, and this week was also two action-packed episodes. We got some resolution with the Ana Jarvis situation. She, of course, I don't know if anyone really believed that she would be leaving us. I don't think she is fine. Mostly. Jarvis does find out that there was complications during her operation and she is unable to bear children. And the doctor was like, oh, we have a nurse that could talk to her about it because, it's still...
Did that piss you off as much as it pissed me off?
I mean, it was annoying, but it's also like, what else? Like, I expected it. It is the 1940s.
True, but still, it was like, oh,
I mean,
you're gonna have a nurse do it because lady parts, but also
well, yeah.
you tell the husband before you tell the patient.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, speaking in a not that I'm really medically inclined or anything. It's not like I've even taken a biology class. Well, I guess I did take a biology class. But I mean, because she did just wake up from surgery, they usually do inform the next of kin in conditions before they inform, because they don't want to upset her or any patient by being like, hey, you woke up, good for you, but newsflash, you can't have kids. Okay, bye. Like, I mean,
I guess
they slowly ease into it.
still,
But I felt like it was historically accurate for the time.
I suppose. What a difference 70 years makes.
Yeah, but I mean, Jarvis decided that he wouldn't have a nurse tell her. He was going to tell her, even though it took him till the end of the second part of this two-parter to actually say anything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I mean, so much happened in these two episodes that I'm trying to like figure out what happened in each now.
I don't think it's like a big deal that we separate which episode happened when, but let's get some stuff in chronological order.
So Howard Stark faxes over blueprints to
The Deus Ex Machina,
like a gamma ray. Was that what it is? Was it a gamma ray?
Yeah, it was a gamma cannon. It was using concentrated gamma rays as a cannon to shoot them at the zero matter and essentially cancel out the zero matter.
Yeah, so basically it was a giant cannon gun that would kill Whitney Frost.
Or anything made of zero matter.
Yeah. Peggy's still on this Jason Wilkes crusade to save him. We must save him, blah, blah, blah. So they, and then Jack went to London to find files on Peggy, and then Vernon was impressed.
I forgot that Jack was trying to find dirt on Peggy. Like, I totally forgot about that. Because there was, early on in the episode, there was a flashback to Ana and Jarvis, like, talking about stuff during the beginning of last season.
Yes.
And, like, that scene where we first heard her voice from the other room, it was it from her perspective, which was kind of fun. So when it pops up that it was London, I was like, wait, did I miss a year?
That's what I thought too. I was like, is this a flashback or is this... But yeah, I guess Jack left LA and went right to London to dig up dirt on Peggy, but it wasn't really on Peggy, it was on Michael.
Her brother.
Yeah. But then she says something later on during her like dream sequence that she took up Michael's station.
Yeah, but
so was it really Peggy that was just operating under Michael's name?
No, I don't think she was operating under Michael's name. It said the thing said M. Carter. Her name is Margaret Carter.
Oh, okay.
But because that's why he calls her Marge.
Oh.
but there's also Michael Carter. So I think Jack thinks he found something on Peggy, and he really found something on Carter.
Michael Carter.
Michael
Okay.
Carter. So
Why
like
would
I
they
think
name their kids both M Carter? Ugh.
because I don't think they realized that both their kids would be secret agent spies and that their names would matter.
Whatever.
A lot of parents name their children with the same first letter.
Okay, Kardashian family. I guess the Carters are like the Kardashians of the 40s.
Well, M is a little different than K, but still, no. So I think that Jack just doesn't know about Michael.
Maybe.
And because I don't think anybody really knows about Michael. And instead, he's found something on her brother, which is why she's so confused later on when he presents her with this, like,
Yeah.
I learned something horrible about you. And she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're just delusional. I'm too busy. Leave me alone. That's pretty much what she says.
Yeah, and now I'm wondering if maybe Michael didn't die if he joined Hydra.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, but it makes sense for the Marvel Universe.
That'd be awful.
I know.
No.
Like, Ward was Hydra, and friggin' what's-his-face, Melinda's husband in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ended up being the crazy Lash thing that was killing all the Inhumans. And
that would be so awful.
but they have a track record.
Oh my god, it was so awful. Michael Carter was Hydra.
He looks like he could easily be Hydra, too. He's got sort of that posh...
Because he's British?
No, not because he's British.
He's got that posh look to him.
Red Skull was German. No, he's got that look like he could easily be a turncoat. He's very suave. He's a spy.
Whatever. I don't want to think about it. I don't even like that you brought that up. It like just upsets me. Because Daniel's fucking Hydra. If Daniel's not Hydra, I'm gonna punch someone in the face.
Daniel's actually Michael. This is all incestuous.
Oh my god, ew. So anyway, the main part of the first episode,
now that
before we even start talking about Michael Carter possibly being in Hydra, I can't even think about it, is they find out that Whitney Frost wants the atomic rods or whatever. So Peggy...
core.
Atomic rods.
Core.
Whatever. I mean, a lot of science. And...
this like, from the person who was just trying to give us a biology lesson.
I mean, I did take biology in high school. I'm pretty sure.
Just because you dissected a frog doesn't mean you know the inner workings.
I also dissected a sheep brain and eyeball. So
that's gross. All right, keep going.
We didn't dissect a frog. I dissected a pig fetus, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Anywho, so they find out that she wants the rods. And they make fake rods with a annoying scientist, SSR guy. I don't even know what his name is.
Neither do they.
So it doesn't really matter.
But his middle name is Herbert.
So we'll just call him Herb. Scientist Herb helps out, and they do the exchange. And during the exchange, one of Ken's, I don't know what Ken's name is in the show either, Mobster Ken.
They mentioned it and I forgot.
It's probably Joe. Because, I mean, that's a typical mobster name. I think it's Joe. Mobster Joe, one of his stupid guys that constantly are fucking up. He needs to get new employees.
Henchmen are really tough to find.
Clearly.
Quality henchmen are difficult.
Drops the rods, and everyone's like, oh my god! And then they realize that they're fake. So they quickly put Jason into the van, and they're driving away. And then, like I predicted from episode numero uno, Jason turns on them, holds a gun to Peggy's head, and basically uses Sousa's love for Peggy against them. And then he just like goes right through the door and gets in the car with one of the henchmen, and it's over.
Yes. Now, we've left out a few key scenes while regaling everyone with the rod dropping. Is that the reason, like, we actually see Jason sort of, because he wasn't, it's not like he was always a double agent. No, I mean, and it was basically like what we were saying in the last episode. It was that it's not that he wants to be evil. It's that he's really interested in the science.
Yeah, which is understandable.
And he wants to understand himself. So he's much more neutral than good or bad necessarily. He's a scientist. So earlier in the episode, we actually see Jason being held prisoner by Whitney Frost, and she's like performing experiments on him and offers him her notes on herself. And so like you see her sort of tempting him with science, with the thing that she knows he's interested in, which is the ability to study and understand what's happening to him. But she also asked him if he hears a voice.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of voice that they can hear that is essentially whatever the hell zero matter, blah, 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 is calling to them somehow.
Zero matter has a voice.
Apparently it does, or maybe it's Thanos.
It's possible.
It does have something to do with Doctor Strange, so maybe we'll learn more when that comes out in November. Yeah. But anyway, so we brush over that scene so that we do see a little bit, so that it wasn't actually all that surprising to see him like turn on them. He's obviously like, he doesn't want to kill Peggy or anything, but like I don't think he's a bad guy. I think that his motivations are just different than, they're not altruistic necessarily. They're very, you know, I want to know more about this thing that's happening to me, and this person will let me do it and you won't.
Yeah.
So I think his motivations are understandable. Not that I would ever do that necessarily, but still. And he knows exactly what Whitney Frost wants to do. Like, to him and her, this is a controlled experiment. To Peggy and her friends, this is, you know, potentially world ending.
Yeah. Well, it's atomic warfare kind of situation.
A little bit, yeah. Although they were way too close to that explosion. And yeah, so like everybody's different perspectives sort of come into play. Like Whitney Frost obviously wants all the power, whereas he wants knowledge, and et cetera, et cetera. The other thing that we missed was one of my favorite scenes, which was when Peggy and Daniel go to deliver a message.
It was a good scene.
When they go to the restaurant, because of course every Italian mobster has a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a front business to help liquidate your income.
To help launder that money, you really do. You need a front. So he's got a restaurant, as do all Italian mobsters. They all have restaurants.
Or concrete businesses or strip clubs.
True. In this case, he's got a restaurant. So they go to the restaurant, and all these guys are like playing cards or whatever, and you know, Peggy says, we need you to deliver a message to the cook, where Ken, what's his face, his actual character name, whatever it is.
I'm looking up, I'm pretty sure it's Joe.
Look it up. Where he is in the kitchen cooking for his grandmother, because of course they also always have little Italian grandmothers who will kill you faster than their grandsons.
No, it's so cute.
Anyway, so they, of course, the henchmen in all of their intelligence are like, no,
It is Joseph.
It is Joseph. Okay, so Joe. So the henchmen, of course, in all of their wisdom are like, no, we're not going to let you through. We're going to kill you. And Peggy and Daniel are like, yeah, you're not. And so
a woman and a cripple beat up all of Joseph's henchmen, who continue to fail at their jobs.
Exactly. Just continue to be horrible.
Yeah.
So Daniel and Peggy end up in the kitchen with Dinah, with Joe. And they have this lovely little standoff where the grandmother nearly kills all of them.
She also thinks
Peggy is the devil.
She thinks Peggy's the devil and won't give her a plate of pasta, but she gave Daniel a plate of pasta. And she spits on her a couple of times, I think, and she goes, It was pretty good.
It was pretty funny. And so they threaten Joe, or Joseph, whatever you want to call him.
Mm-hmm.
They threaten him with telling another mobster that he turned state's evidence on him, even though he didn't, because, you know, it would get him killed. And they have him deliver the message to Whitney saying that they will give her the plutonium or uranium cores. And now we are all caught up.
For the first episode.
Yes. Second episode. So then, well, actually, no, that isn't the first episode. That's at the end of it anyway. It doesn't end until after.
I was gonna say,
Wilkes goes all Jesus.
Yes.
So, anywho, now that Whitney Frost actually has the plutonium core, how did she get them again?
Oh, well, she when Jason was threatening to kill Peggy, of course, Daniel Sousa, even though he's supposed to be a progressive feminist, completely proves that he's not in these two episodes. He tells them where he lets Wilkes know where the rods are, which is in the secret safe in the laboratory of the SSR LA headquarters.
Right. All right. I'm going to fight you on that comment, because I don't think trying to protect someone who has a gun to their head makes you not a progressive feminist. Like, I agree with you that, you know, Sousa could do better on that front. Like, we've seen it in previous episodes. I don't think this is one of those instances because, as he says later, Peggy would have done the same thing if Wilkes had put the gun to his head. Wilkes just did what guys do, and he threatened the girl.
Whatever. I mean, there's a situation that happens in the second episode of this two-parter where basically he gives Peggy a stern talking to before they go on an
fight you on that one.
Yeah.
This one I'll fight you on.
I don't know, Peggy.
I think there's a big difference between a character being sexist and a character just doing what a character would do. You care about a person, there's a gun to their head, you're not going to let them die. No matter how strong your morals are, you know, the good guys don't let people die for no reason.
Daniel's a putz. Whatever. Continue. We're not going to ever agree on Daniel. So.
No, we're not. I don't hate him, and you do. Yeah. But I also don't hate Wilkes, and you do. So
I don't hate Wilkes. I hate what they're doing with the relationship between Wilkes and Peggy.
And I'm okay with it, but I see your point. Anyway, so now Whitney Frost and her people have the uranium cores, and they go out to the desert to do.
Well, we have to backtrack because I know you don't like to talk about Jack, but we do have to talk about Jack at this moment.
We do have to talk. No, Jack's actually really important on this episode.
Yeah. So Whitney's people, aka Vernon, who has taken over as the chief of the SSR Los Angeles office.
SSR Los Angeles. It's like NCIS 40s version.
I know, that's what I feel like it is. Gets a phone call from Whitney Frost, and Jack happens to be already at the office talking about the file, and now he's talking about how it seemed like it was a little bit too easy to get because Peggy puts that into his brain. Vernon asks Jack to step out so he can take the phone call. Jack, being super SSR chief spy man, just goes outside and then listens.
Generally suspicious.
Yeah, goes outside and just listens to the phone call and finds out that it's Whitney Frost and that Vernon is going to go get the rods from the basement. So, I mean, I don't know how long Jack was standing in the laboratory before Vernon came in, but he's standing in the shadows. Vernon goes to the safe, and Jack says, "I'm not going to allow you to do this." And Vernon goes, "Well, that's a shame," and uses the memory wipe things to erase his memory, gets the rods, leaves, and then Peggy and Daniel come in. And then they use their, investigation skills to backtrack to where Jack now remembers since his brain was wiped. And now it's off to Super Shield in the making is off now to the desert to save the world.
Yeah, one of the things I liked from that scene where they're sort of investigating to figure out what happened is that when Peggy picks up the piece of paper and she's like, "Is this your handwriting?" Sousa feels the need in this room full of spies to go, "Those are coordinates." And I'm like, literally anyone could have told you that.
I mean, I could have figured that one out.
Thank you, exposition man.
And then so it's Peggy, Jack, Daniel, Herbert, the scientist, and Jarvis is also going along because he feels like he has to now avenge what happened to Ana with Whitney Frost and wants to go on the mission. So they leave in this really touching little moment. Jarvis leaves this box with Rose, and he asks her to look over after Ana while he's gone. And it has like her favorite teacup and like a book and a cashmere blanket. And then he hands her like this handwritten, tied in a bow kind of thing that we don't know what, like we kind of all kind of know what it is, but we don't know what it is until the very end of the episode.
Right. Like when you see him hand it over, it's like, it's one of two things. It's a letter or it's his will.
Yeah. And I'm assuming it's probably both, but it says last will and testament of Edmund Jarvis on it when we eventually do see it. So off the super squad goes to the desert.
Super squad.
Yeah, super squad. And there's a lot of bickering, as always, when these people get together.
Mm-hmm.
And Whitney Frost and her gang of delinquents, as well as Wilkes, head out to the desert. And I guess they wanted to release the zero matter so they can both absorb it completely. I'm assuming that's what they thought was going to happen.
I'm not sure exactly what they thought was going to happen. I think it was just a case of, I know this is what I have to do because this is what the voice is telling me I have to do.
Which is always, when you hear voices in your head, always just listen to them.
Follow their instructions.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it was basically just like, this is what I know I have to do because of reasons, and now we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they just sort of, they do it, and it works, I guess. I mean, essentially they just recreate the original Zero Matter experiment, blow up an atomic bomb and make a rift.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wilkes gets sort of like Jesused into it.
Yeah, he gets like, yeah, I mean, like levitated up into the orb of Zero Matter, which really pisses off Whitney Frost because it should have been her.
Right, she wants to go.
And she's screaming and she's screaming. And
poor Jan.
But by the time that Super Squad gets there, the rift is already open. So they have to now shoot the laser, but they don't want to miss out. So Jarvis and Peggy decide to drive down to the scene of the rift, while Herbert, the scientist, Jack, and Daniel are now left with the gamma cannon.
Putting it together. But before that happens, because I think the reason that Jarvis goes down there partly is because they find out that when they're leaving, I think is what happens, when they're packing everything up, the scientist dude, as Herbert apparently we're calling him, he tells them that he was only able to make one shot. They have literally one shot. So they can shoot the rift or they can shoot Whitney. And, you know, as Peggy and everyone pretty much agrees, except Jarvis, they have to shoot the rift because that's the important thing to close. They need to close the rift. They can deal with Whitney some other way. And whereas Jarvis, who is like, she shot my wife, she needs to pay, is like, no, we need to kill Whitney.
Yeah. Even though he's not saying like, I'm going to go down there and shoot Whitney, but I mean, he is upset about it. So him and Peggy get down there. They see that absorber and like howling through his, just like screaming into the, you know, the sky. Yeah. Why not me? Why not me? And Jarvis gets out of, you could totally tell that Jarvis isn't comfortable like carrying a gun because he's like this the whole time. like carrying it. And he shoots Whitney, which was a big mistake because now her henchman, she survives. She kind of like, and that's it. Her henchmen come and they tie up Peggy and Jarvis because now that Wilkes has absorbed all the Zero Matter, they're going to need something, and Whitney wants it. They feel that if they use Jarvis and Peggy, he'll just end up doing whatever Whitney wants.
Right. Her thing was like, but he will listen if we threaten the people that he loves. And I'm like, yeah, he really doesn't love Jarvis. You should just take Peggy.
Yeah. I mean, I think Wilkes cares for Jarvis because he has a bond with Ana.
Yeah, but I don't think that he would care. I don't think that what Jarvis carries as nearly as much weight with him as Peggy does.
I mean, yeah, but I mean,
like, I still think like, well, that other dude's here. We'll take him too.
Yeah. So
that ends the first episode.
That ends the first episode with Peggy being knocked out and Jarvis being knocked out and thrown into the back of the truck in the middle of a desert.
Yes. So episode 2 picks up with basically the greatest sequence of all time.
Yeah.
Because we need a little song and dance to lighten the mood, literally.
Peggy,
we finally get Angie back, and oh my god, I've missed her.
I know, but it wasn't like enough.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be in a dream sequence, though. So at the beginning of the second episode is a hallucination, essentially, that Peggy has. That's basically just like a musical number about how she needs to choose between Wilkes and Daniel.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
even the musical number was heavily weighted toward Daniel, so.
I mean, we should mention
you don't like either of her options.
No. I mean, I thought it'd be funny if Jack popped in at the end, just to, like, throw like another, like a third, like at this point, let's just pile on every man that Peggy's ever met into the song and dance.
Steve should have showed up.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been an opportune time for like Steve to show up in, Agent Carter.
Yeah, just to pop up.
Just for kicks. Like, I mean.
They can totally work that into his schedule. He's not doing anything right now.
He's not really doing anything. He's only Captain fucking America. Has the most anticipated movie of 2016, pretty much. Sorry, Batman vs Superman. No one really cares. Anyway, but before the dance and who will Peggy choose? Like, I really give a shit.
Oh, that was fun.
There was a scene with her and Michael.
Oh, right. Yeah. The first part of the dream sequence is in black and white. And she runs into Michael.
He can't. He's not Hydra. I don't care. He's not. Oh, Michael. What if he's a super soldier like Winter Soldier?
Okay, that'd be
what if yeah, because they were doing other experiments when Bucky was, taken.
Yeah. Although at the same time, we still don't know who the eventual Sharon Carter will have as her lineage. So who knows what's up with Michael? Maybe he'll just pop up at the end. I don't know anymore. But either way, Michael is in this weird little dream sequence where he and Peggy sort of argue, and she like blames him for everything, sort of like almost jokingly. She's like, I'm just doing what you wanted me to do. And he's like, no, you're doing what you wanted to do.
It was cute. It was
cute. No, it was a good little sibling moment.
Yeah. And then he told her that like she needs to, decide whether she like wants to pretty much like wake up or whatever.
Right.
And then
I think her subconscious takes that as choose between the two people that you like.
Yeah. Which is goes into the dance and number.
Song and dance, which was really fun. I mean, we got to hear Enver, who plays Daniel, sing, and we got to hear Haley Atwell sing, which was fun. And of course, Angie and Dottie both sing and dance.
Yeah, and Jarvis shows up and then the three like dancers around Jarvis is Dottie, Ana, and Whitney Frost. So it's like a split, and it was pretty funny.
It was good. No, they did a really good job with that scene, and weirdly, it didn't feel that out of place.
No, I wish the whole episode was. I wish they would do a whole musical episode.
That's for next season.
I feel like every series should have one musical episode.
Thank you, Buffy.
So it was cute. It was like a good little thing to like kind of lighten the mood. And then Jarvis, at the end goes, you need to wake up, Miss Carter. And she wakes up and they're in the back of the van. Thanks to Jarvis's stupidity. Pretty much.
And then for the next 15 minutes, we sort of get to play witness to actually really good arguments between the two of them. So Peggy manages to get them out of the van using a thing that's in her belt.
She uses a hot wire that she had in her belt.
Yeah.
And she is able to melt the padlock that was closing the truck door. And she just pushes Jarvis out of the truck. He's like, well, now what? How do we get out? And she just pushes him because she's like, she's so pissed off at this point.
She's fed up with him. She's going to push him out of the truck. He wasn't going to get hurt.
No.
So then she jumps out, and then Jarvis proceeds to just yell at her about, oh, what are we going to do now? And he's being all prissy and annoying.
He's like, it's hot. We're walking in the desert.
Don't do that.
There was like a weird, really bad British meets Australian accent that I don't know what just happened. But anyway, he's like, it's hot. We're walking in the desert. We haven't seen a city in miles, blah, blah, blah. And Peggy's like, just shut the fuck up and walk.
Like, this is literally our only choice. There will be a car eventually. Shut up and go.
Yeah, and she's like, we wouldn't be here if you didn't try to shoot Whitney Frost because you were pissed off that she shot your wife. And then this big serious moment happens between the two of them. Not super big. Like, it was like they both needed to say the things, and then they got over
it. It was definitely cathartic. I mean, it was something that really needed to happen, especially because of all the events of the last couple episodes. Jarvis is really upset that Ana got shot, and Peggy, while she's trying to be sympathetic, she's like, you have no idea.
Well, it started
talking about
because Jarvis kind of brought it because he said, what do you, everyone that ever followed you gets killed.
Right. Everyone around you always dies.
Which would be like, not only is it a sting about Steve, it's also a sting about Michael.
Right. Exactly. And, anyone else that Peggy ever lost, because she probably lost other people in the war, and she's probably lost agents and stuff. So, obviously it stings most about Steve, but like you said, her brother and all these people, and that just basically is like, no, screw this. We're not having this conversation. And she turns around and she basically says to Jarvis, like, I understand that you're upset about Ana, but she is fine. You have absolutely no idea what it is like to live this life because, she says, I think my favorite part was in the beginning when she says, like, you're always talking about going on these adventures with me, and that's how you see it. They're nothing but larks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go home to your wife and your radio shows and your normal life, and you have no idea the amount of loss that comes with this life. And I've paid that price, 100 times over or something. And it's just a really good moment, which just reminds me why I love Haley Atwell as this character so much.
And and then she caps it off with saying, you know nothing of loss, which is not true, because now Jarvis admits that he found out that Anna's no longer can't have a child. So him and Ana will never have children. So that's a loss. And what's even, I think, bothering him even more is that he has not been able to tell Ana that.
Yeah, and to her credit, she immediately says sorry.
Yeah.
Which I think and that this conversation, like their ability to have this huge fallout, like argument, but then immediately go back to being friends.
I know. They're like best friends forever, and I love it.
It's like a testament to their friendship, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God. No, but it's really great because, he says this and she turns around and she's like, I'm so sorry about what I said. I didn't know. And he's like, no, I understand. Like, what's worse is that the reason that he's so angry is less because Ana got hurt and that she can't have kids, and more because he hasn't been brave enough to even tell her.
And I mean, it's a moment that I think from the moment Ana got shot, we were waiting for Jarvis to confront Peggy, because he hasn't, never in the time between Ana getting shot and this conversation did you have the feeling that he blamed Peggy for what happened. But like deep down, you kind of always like I always was thinking, like, is this ever going to come up? Like, in a way, if Jarvis wasn't off with Peggy, or if Peggy wasn't staying at this, the Stark mansion or anything, Ana would have never got shot. So it was a moment that needed to be addressed, but I'm really happy that it didn't become like this big thing, this big fight between the two.
And technically, he doesn't blame her for existing. He blames her for doing the thing that made them leave, going after Dottie. And, she says that if I hadn't gone after her, that would have been tantamount to murder. So, like, I mean, Peggy is in this position where, as a character, she is altruistic to a fault. Like, she has to save people. She has to do the thing that she thinks is right, even if it's not necessarily the right decision. Which I think also addresses your problem with the way that she's been addressing the whole Wilkes situation, where like you keep saying like you don't understand why they keep stressing this and why she keeps going after him and trying to save him when he's obviously not really wanting to be saved. And I think that it's because she feels like she's supposed to. And I don't necessarily think that it's always the right decision, but to her, she's like, I have to do what's right, period, no matter what happens. Same thing with Dottie.
I agree with the fact that Peggy feels responsible for what happened to Wilkes. I agree with that. I feel like she's, doing, that's what her mindset is. But at this point, this late in the season, this late into the storyline, when Wilkes has pretty much been like, stop trying to help me, stop trying to save me, like I'm beyond, there's nothing you can do for me now. I mean, he is at a completely different level that he was when he first even became Invisible Wilkes, or whatever you want to call. I mean, there's nothing Peggy can do really to save him. And the fact that Peggy continuously thinks that she needs to save him, even later in this episode, where it just gets annoying, where she is putting other people at jeopardy because she's so worried about Wilkes. She's using this one person to jeopardize almost the whole entire mission.
Right. And a lot of that is selfish decision, where like she wants to save him no matter the consequences, because she needs to save everybody. I think that as annoying as it does become, because even the other characters point out, like, you need to stop, like, he doesn't want your help. She says, no, the zero matter is affecting his brain. She's, justifying her decisions to herself because she wants to believe that he actually does need her help. And I think that as annoying as that becomes, it's important to the character, because she's remaining true to this character she's always been, even though she has annoying faults. Like, I think that it's good character writing. I think it's a good decision because I don't necessarily need to like the main character all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And at least she's remaining true to this person that we've gotten to know over the last 2 seasons. You know,
it's the fact that they had Whitney Frost and she wouldn't let them do anything because Wilkes was in the building. I think it's just something that really, it's just like, come on, like, let's get over that. Like, I understand your idea that you feel responsible for what happened. You want to save him, but now you're like, this is something that in the previous episode, you were talking about how this is like Whitney Frost and all this kind of stuff can like destroy the world. And because Wilkes is in the building, all of a sudden we're gonna be like, no, don't, shoot Whitney.
I don't, like I said, I don't disagree with you. I don't think those are necessarily good choices. But at the same time, Peggy has always been someone who doesn't believe in acceptable losses. There's no such thing as an acceptable loss. So for her, anyway, to most people who can like weigh those two parts of themselves, who aren't extremely good or extremely evil, people who exist in this gray area, I think like you and I would probably think this person could destroy the world. There's still someone inside. We have to weigh that decision. It's the greater good scenario, but I don't think to Peggy that the greater good in her head can be served if she lets someone she conceives as an innocent person die in the process. I'm just saying it's true to character. I'm not saying it's a great decision for her, like an actual logical decision. I think it's a good writing decision. And maybe that's what the ultimate lesson for Peggy this season is about. The ultimate story arc for Peggy last season was about accepting Steve's death.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this season it's about accepting the idea of acceptable losses. The idea that you can't save everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it just annoys me. It just annoys me how they, it's going to annoy me. I can't freaking change it. So, I'm
right.
Clearly...
And it's going to continue. There's one more episode. It's going to annoy you at least for one more episode.
Yeah.
Not
but like anyway, I'm stopping watching the show because of it. But
right. Let's carry on with the story. So while all this Peggy Jarvis stuff is going down, Daniel, the lovely scientist, and Thompson are stuck on the side of the road, essentially, with the gamma cannon, which is no longer functional.
Yeah, because Jarvis and Peggy took the car.
Right. So they're stuck there, and they are trying to figure out what to do, and a car is coming up, and it's from the SSR, and Daniel recognizes it as the guys who were sent to beat the crap out of him.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it was sent by Vernon to probably kill them, so they have to come up with a plan real quick.
And their plan is that Jack is going to pretend that what he did with Vernon before was all part of an act to gain the trust of Daniel and Peggy, and now he's working with Vernon again. And Jack does this a couple times where he like turns the tables, so you're like, what the it's just like a constant, like, who's he playing?
Right. Jack's playing for his team.
Yeah, Team Jack. Jack. Which at the moment is part of Team Peggy.
It's whoever he feels he needs to ally himself with.
Yeah. Well, I think we should give Jack a little bit more credit than that, because he knows what Vernon is doing is wrong.
Right.
He was able to, so he's never really, like, he knows Vernon's a dick at this point. And he knows that Whitney Frost is controlling Vernon. So, we know that the one person he is against is Whitney Frost.
Right. I think Jack does the right thing, but he allies himself with whoever he thinks is actually going to get that done.
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily on any one team. He's on Team Jack. He allies himself with whoever is going to help him accomplish whatever goal he has at the moment.
Yeah.
Not that he's a bad person.
Mm-hmm. So Jack convinces them that he is like essentially arresting Daniel and scientist Herb, and they all go back to the SSR, and Vernon walks in, and this is where now they release Vernon, the master plan to Vernon, where Herb is able to fix the cannon, will be able to shoot Whitney, and now Vernon won't have to answer to Whitney if they all work together.
Right. It was a good Jack line where he's like, we're not gonna give you the cannon, so that you can give it to Whitney, and he's like, well, why not? And he's like, well, because then you can't shoot her with it.
Mhm. And then Vernon's like, "Ugh, you guys are all so smart."
Yay, I'm gonna be in power.
Yeah. So now they have Vernon thinking that he's working with them. So they fix the cannon. How does Peggy? Oh, the more of Joseph's henchmen go back out to find
And get beat up by Peggy.
go out to find Peggy and Jarvis. Peggy beats the crap out of them, leaves them in the desert. They did leave them with water.
Sip carefully.
Yeah, and they take the truck and they go back they go back to the SSR, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because Peggy basically walks in and starts swinging.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she walks in and she starts beating the crap out of Vernon, and it's hilarious. And then all of a sudden, both Daniel and Jack come running in. They're like, it's okay. Stop like beating this old man." And so then they tell Peggy her plan, and Jarvis goes to see Ana.
Yes, and this is where Ana gets awesome again.
Yeah.
Because Jarvis, does he tell her at this point, or does he tell her when the camera like zooms out?
Yeah, we don't actually hear him tell her about her not being able to have children. It's like the last thing, and then the camera slowly zooms out. But Anna starts asking about how Peggy is, how Jason is, and Jarvis is telling her what's happening. And she basically goes like, "Well, then why are you here? Like, really, in the realm of things, like you're the only person Peggy can trust. You should be with Peggy. You should be helping her." And Jarvis is like, "No, I'm going to stay here with you." And she goes, "There's like doctors and nurses all around me that can help me, but you're the only one that can help Peggy."
Right, exactly. Just being awesome altogether.
Yeah. And then she goes, "There's something else you're not telling me." And that's when Jarvis tells her about what happened and what can't happen.
Right. Meanwhile, Jack says that he has to be the one that goes on this mission with Vernon to deliver the gamma cannon to Whitney Frost.
Because Whitney Frost has a crush on Jack.
Clearly. I think everybody does.
I mean, Chad Michael Murray, Agent Carter, extremely better looking than Chad Michael Murray, One Tree Hill style.
Yeah, but he's also Chad Michael Murray, and therefore I have no love for him.
He is a dick.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you going to do?
Just be upset with the fact that we still think that he's the ultimate Peggy Carter love interest. Anyway, so Jack leaves to do the thing, and then Peggy and Daniel are talking to Rose and the scientist guy, and
Herb. How hard is it for you to remember Herb?
Because that's not his name.
It's his middle name.
Yeah, okay, but still. I love how we're just proving that no one knows his name. So they're talking, and he's like, did Jack not tell you the plan? And they're like, what plan? And he's like, I turned it into a bomb.
Yeah.
So they're not just gonna shoot Whitney with it, which by the way would have been a fine plan.
But he wants to because he also wants to kill Vernon.
Right, I know, but still, why did you have to create a gamma bomb to do that?
I don't know.
Just shoot Whitney and then shoot Vernon with a real gun.
Yeah. But the thing was,
it's literal overkill.
Jack and Vernon go to deliver the cannon, and Peggy and Daniel are supposed to act as backup, and Jack cuts their fuel line and the radio, and that's when they go in and they ask the scientist what's going on.
Right.
He says there's a bomb, and now Peggy and Daniel are confused, and they're like, "Oh my god, he's going to blow up everything." Herb, the scientist, was like, "Oh, well, it's going to be through a radio channel, so they need Herb to interfere with the radio channel."
Yeah, he basically creates an EM jammer, essentially, that will stop the thing. And the reason for this is the thing that you don't like, which is that Wilkes would also die.
Oh, the bomb?
Yeah, the reason that they want to stop the bomb.
Yeah.
Is because Wilkes
so, not like Joseph, or at this point, I'd rather save Joseph, just because he amuses me. Wilkes isn't funny.
No, but he's also not a criminal. Well, more or less.
I mean, whatever. Gotta do what you gotta do. So they go, is this when Daniel has like the stupid talk with Peggy that I thought was so condescending that I just wanted to punch him in the face.
It might be. Which was that talk again?
So they're heading out on the mission to like stop Jack from blowing up everything. And Daniel goes, now, Wilkes is going to be there, and I don't want your emotions to cloud your judgment, pretty much. And like, Peggy was like, didn't you do that like not even 24 hours ago when Wilkes was holding a gun to my head?
Right. This is when he has that thing where
Yeah.
he says, are you telling me you wouldn't have done the same thing? So like, while I agree with that part of the conversation, yeah, he was definitely a little patronizing.
Because she makes the point like you just did what you told me not to do. This is before because Jack slides in and he goes, I would let them both kill
Let
you.
both of you die.
Yeah. He just leaves. I don't know. And then we talked about this last night when you were texting me when you were watching the episode. Whenever I see like Peggy, Daniel, Jack, even Jarvis and Scientist Herb together, I just think like this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be like. Like them just constantly going on like these ridiculous missions and just fighting the whole entire time.
Yeah, I definitely see, like, that's kind of what I want next season to be like sort of the beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D., where like
Mhm.
now we're sort of grudgingly partners
I think we're
and
gonna,
Howard is bankrolling it.
yeah, like I feel like we're going to get a lot more of like what S.H.I.E.L.D's going to be like in the finale because everyone comes in, like Howard's back, and after the events of this episode, like everyone pretty much hates Whitney Frost. So like even Joseph is like, let's kill her. Like, I mean, so I feel
She's
like it's
killed
gonna,
so many of my henchmen
yeah.
and all figure rats.
She doesn't love me. She's just using me. Poor Joseph. Um, so I feel like it's really going to be like this ragtag group of misfits that like you can kind of almost like Rose. I'm hoping Rose like comes in and like Dottie will eventually show up. Though I'm pretty sure Dottie won't be part of Shield, but she might because Black Widow's part of Shield and she was an exiled Red Room
Yeah, but
agent.
Black Widow was like a very specific story. Anyway, she might. Maybe Daddy will be.
I don't know. That'd be cool.
I think she'll just
So
be a merc that they work with.
yeah. Um, so they go. Jack is wheeling and dealing. Vernon finally goes, I'm going to kill you, Whitney, with this cannon. And Jack was like, okay, it's time for me to leave now.
I'm just gonna go.
Puts his hat on, starts walking out, and he like is hitting the switch and nothing's happening. And then he goes and he magically finds the car like right away and starts just yelling at them. While Peggy's inside trying to save Wilkes again.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Wilkes is just like give it up, Peg. Like he's just like and he keeps telling everyone like you need to get me in an isolated area. This doesn't feel right. Something bad's gonna happen.
Right. He's been saying this since they were driving back.
Yeah.
From the rift thing, like he was saying like I need to get out of the car, and of course Joseph was like, "Are you gonna puke?"
Yeah. Joseph doesn't want puke in his car.
No, he doesn't. It's a new car.
Yeah.
So Wilkes has been this whole time like you need to get me somewhere. Like there's something wrong. He's like some weird stuff's happening to his face, and stuff like that. It's because he's basically at critical mass of zero matter.
Yeah. And Whitney's trying to pull it out of him, but it like nothing's happening.
Right. The fact that she thought she could suck it out with a syringe.
I mean, why didn't she just try to do like her?
I assume that's what she would have done in the first place, but who knows?
Yeah. Maybe it won't work. Maybe because he's now too powerful.
Maybe, but also I don't know that she could ever pull zero matter from Wilkes because he was always pulling it from her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
So Wilkes pretends like he's gonna go with Peggy, and as they get to the door, Peggy goes out first, and then he closes the door and locks it behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess at this point, Peggy now joins the doofus squad outside that are just yelling at each other.
Yep.
And Wilkes walks into Whitney pretty much almost killing Vernon by doing her thing.
Yeah.
And he explodes.
Yeah. Like Wilkes just straight up blows up.
Yeah.
Like
so is he dead?
I would assume he is dead at this point. Like he really blew up. And that was the last scene. Like it was just Wilkes blows up, cut to black.
Yeah.
So next episode, I guess we'll find out what happened, but I'm gonna assume that he's super dead.
But like,
Or
what
he's
happened?
intangible again.
Yeah, but like, like Whitney survives again.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I'm assuming Vernon's dead.
Yeah, Vernon's probably definitely dead at this point.
So
He was
like,
basically dead once she did the.
from what I got from, did you see the next episode
No,
attractions?
the previews are not on Hulu.
Yeah, I figured. So like, she emerges. I'm not sure if he explodes and then she's able to absorb everything.
Maybe they sort of like merge.
Maybe because she comes out of the what do they, it's not a dump, what did he call it, waste management
Waste
facility,
management facility, yeah.
and her eyes are like black and she's just like pissed off and she's like ready to like just kill anything that's in her way. And at this point it was like everyone's back for the season finale of Agent Carter season 2, and like you see a flash of like Howard Stark and like Dottie and like boom, there's like all these flashes and it's like, and they're all up against Whitney Frost, they band together, and it's like Joseph's with them and like everyone's all together just to kill Whitney Frost. So I mean that's pretty much what the finale is going to be.
Yeah, we'll see. They got to do it all in one episode, so.
I know. I mean, a lot, like, I mean, because you don't know when they're renewed, like, I feel like they need to consciously write a finale that
like they did
gives,
last season.
yeah, that gives people closure if they don't come back for a third season.
Right, like the SSR needs to be disbanded or something.
Yeah, like something that would make me believe that S.H.I.E.L.D. is on its way to being created.
Right,
Like, that's
or
really
like Peggy stays quit from the SSR and she and Jarvis go off to.
She stays with like Howard and Jarvis.
Yeah.
Because at this point, in the Marvel universe, we only know that Peggy and Howard were part of the starting of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yeah, they're the only like
Known.
they're the only ones that they've mentioned specifically in other Captain America films.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the second one you see like the documentary of the founding of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you also see they go back to that original facility and you see Peggy
like,
and Howard on
the
the
portraits,
wall.
yeah.
Yeah. But there are other portraits.
Yeah, maybe we should go back and see if like
I don't think they ever show them.
Yeah.
And they certainly I don't think would have anything to do with the Agent Carter show because it wasn't a thing yet.
I mean, like, my ultimate wish for Agent Carter, for it to end with knowing who started S.H.I.E.L.D. and knowing that Peggy and Howard and whoever else is going to help them is on the cusp of switching over the SSR to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to get that in this. I mean, if we get it, it'll probably be like in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, I would think it would literally just be like the end cap to the season.
So we'll see.
So yeah, we will see. It's next Tuesday, 9 p.m. It's the last episode of Agent Carter. The last episode of Agent Carter for Two Chicks, One Show is going to be a little later than that. Sorry for all you folks who are just dying for us 2 days after the episode. It's going to be more like 2 weeks because I'm going overseas and will not have an internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's happening the day after the show. So
I mean, I could just do this by myself, but it wouldn't be.
But it wouldn't be nearly as hilarious.
And it would be just one chick, one show.
One chick, one show. That's just really not that interesting.
Yeah.
You need my perspective. We need to argue over Daniel and
Wilkes
and
why we shouldn't be
the fact that I like both of them and you like neither.
Why we shouldn't be fixated on who Peggy dates.
Yeah, I really don't actually like. In the grand scheme, I really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Those storylines are the least interesting. The one that's been the most interesting is her and Jarvis.
Yeah.
And not as a couple, just as friends.
I mean, I think Whitney Frost has had a great storyline.
She's a good one. Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so next Tuesday, 9 p.m. on ABC is the season finale of the second season of Agent Carter. We'll be back at some point after that, and then Outlander will be coming back, and we will be doing Outlander.
So excited.
I got to get reading the second book in the Outlander series.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can listen to it on the plane ride to Indonesia.
Yeah, there's only a few hours there. It's a short hop, skip, and a jump overseas.
Exactly.
You can listen to the whole book in one plane trip.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, all right, so we will see you guys then, and enjoy the season finale. Bye.